to the SPRTER Podcast. Can you hear me well?
Oh, yeah. Is it good on my end?
Yes, I can hear you well. Welcome. Let me introduce you to our audience. We have running back Cam Carter on the show, who is a professional football player and currently free agent, previously played for the Yakima Canines and is originally from Fredericksburg, Virginia. And one of the big goals is going into the NFL.
Yes,
Welcome,
sir.
welcome to the SPRTER Podcast.
Thank you.
So before we get started with diving into some questions, I also want to make sure to mention that you have your experience store set up on the SPRTER app, and fans can book experiences with you there, such as a personalized Zoom call or interact with you in much more depth. So check out Cam's experience store on the SPRTER app. And let me delve into this. How did you start developing? How did you start playing football? And how did you develop that love for football? Because at your level, you have to love the game.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, it's my life. That's all I can think about half the time. It started, I think my dad put me in, it was when I was 5. I think he put me in like flag, just like to teach you the basics of how to play. And then I went into Pee Wee football. And after that, I just fell in love with it. Like, I remember the first time, you know Oklahoma drills? Or
Yeah.
people that don't know Oklahoma drills, it's when you lay on your back. One person is running with the ball and the other person is going to tackle you. I remember I first did that, and just like the impact of just running into somebody, it just felt so free and it was fun. I just fell in love with it from there, and I couldn't stop.
In that drill, what did you get a better, I guess, flow from? Running into someone or running away from someone and evading someone?
At that time, I was doing more tackling.
Okay.
But I just loved it. It was so much fun.
Now, as a running back, it's like that does Oklahoma Trail. So really, that's a one-on-one. But running backs, obviously, you're part of a bigger team, right?
Yes.
How did that develop, and how did that team aspect play a role when you started playing and when you evolved and playing high school and so on?
It's fun because, you can't do anything by yourself. You have to have a lot of trust. You have to have your linemen. Your linemen is probably the most important people on the team. Without them, you can't do anything. So just them blocking for you, you have to understand where they're about to go next to block. You have to see the hole. You have to try to make your way through it. You really have to be really aware.
And that awareness, do you do specific drills for that, as in where people are positioned on the field compared to where you are, or is that just something that the more you play, the more you get?
It's a little both. You have to practice for it. You have to try to do some drills and set obstacles in your way so you can know how to run around it and try to prepare for any situation. But it also comes with time, because when you see somebody really huge in front of you trying to hit you, the experience comes with it, because you get all those gears running. You never know what's about to happen next.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't do it. So I've never played. I like crap my pants. Like when you have like a 300-pound linebacker going towards you, like, yeah, this is not what I signed up for. But apparently you signed up for it. So your last team played indoor. How is the indoor situation different to playing outdoor and playing on the big field?
It's 1,000 times different. It's a 50-yard field, and instead of 11 men on the field, you have 8. And instead of just playing, like I'm playing running back, you're going to be playing kickoff. You're going to be playing kick return. You're going to be playing defense a lot of the times. You don't have a big roster. You have 25 men that make the final roster on the team. So somebody gets hurt one time, you're going to be playing. So you're going to be in there a lot. And especially with playing running back, when you get the ball, you don't have a lot of space. You can't do any. You might have like 2 juke moves you can do tops. After that, that's it, because there's no out of bounds. You get hit, you get thrown into the wall. The wall is very solid. It hurts more than people. It's not fun, but it is fun also at the same time. It's not fun getting thrown into the wall though.
I can imagine. No, that's certainly something that when you say you play everything, particular someone with your skill set, and I've seen some of your drill videos you share. You got some cool videos up there, whether it's on Instagram or the SPRTER app. So you got some cool drill videos up there. So you're very agile. I can see that would probably add a lot to that would give you a big advantage on the small field as well. Not just on the big field, but particularly on the small area.
Oh yeah. My speed is my thing. That's what got me to the point, honestly. Without that, I wouldn't be able to do nothing really. I'm working on my strength also, so I can be the best of both worlds, try to make something happen.
And is that something growing up? Is that something you deliberately worked on? Is the speed aspect? Or did you do some specific speed drills, or how did you get so fast?
Honestly, I was just playing like tag or something growing up, and it didn't click for a while. I was like, I'm faster than a lot of these kids. They're just running races or something. I'm fast. It's like this is different, and then I just started working on it from there. Start running a little bit. Start trying to just do certain drills to try to get my feet going a little faster. Try to work on my legs in the gym.
So strength as well, not just agility, but also actual strength work then?
Oh, I'm in the weight room 5 times a day. So I mean, not 5 times a day, 5 times a week.
Yeah.
But
I'm like, whoa, that's a lot.
Oh, no, I couldn't do that. My body would not do it.
So 5 times a week in the weight room right now, it's off season for you at the moment, right?
Yes.
And you keep yourself fit on your own? Do you train with others? How do you go about that at the moment?
When I started, I was lifting by myself, just looking, YouTube and Google's my best friend. I can find anything on there. So I just started that way, and now that's what I do now. I just go by myself.
Okay. And you've trained, obviously you've been on the other side of the country. You grew up in Virginia. You've played in Washington. Where in the world are you at the moment? And what would be your dream location to play?
I'm in Virginia right now. My dream place would be probably like in San Diego or somewhere in California. I've never been yet though, so I can't say too much, but that'd be a nice place I'd like to be. I feel like I love the sun. I can't not love it. I love it so much. It just brings positive vibes every time you're out there. So it'd probably be that. I'd probably like to be there.
I'm absolutely with you there. As in, I'm a warm weather person. As in, I like everything when it's sunny and it's warm out there. That's me. That's when I'm happiest. And so I totally understand that part. Now, having lived on both sides of the country, and having been away from the family, going over there, etc. When are some times that we all go through struggles sometimes. When are some times that when in your football career that you felt like, hey, this is harder than I thought, or is this really worth it? And how did you overcome those times?
It was a lot of times people like doubted that I could play professionally. And you don't have that support system from everybody. Now I have like my family, they're great. I have some pretty great friends, but not everybody believes in you all the time. So, and you go to like workouts. I'd go to professional workouts, and I don't get a call right away. I start doubting myself a little bit. I start getting down, and I start getting sad. I think about it. I'm like, I know I'm better than this guy over here. I know I can play. Just give me a chance, and that's what I wanted. And a lot of nights, you sit there and you think, you're like, is this for me? Is this something I should be doing? But you also gotta get those thoughts out your head, and remember, you gotta keep working because it's not gonna be given to you. You really gotta keep going. You gotta step it up. You gotta go harder than you did yesterday.
And I think that's certainly that athlete mentality, as in, hey, the more I put in, the more I oftentimes get out, right? That's what we see in training, and that's certainly oftentimes what we feel. But going through that and having those doubts is very human. Now, when you got the call, when you got recruited, how did that go? And what is your biggest takeaway from that season, from the last season?
That was a good starting point for me, I feel. I really got to understand the game in a way I never learned it before. I wasn't used to that style of play at all. So learning from that, I really feel confident going into the next one that I can really dominate in it.
Is there one thing that you call it learn from the indoor that you think this is going to make me a better outdoor running back?
Oh, I feel like playing indoor compared to outdoor, if you play indoor, you're going to play outdoor 1,000 times better because just the way your movements are,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting used to moving around not with in a tiny space and trying to make something happen. But after you do that and you go back to outdoor, you're gonna have all this field to work with. You're gonna have more people. You're gonna have a few more people to worry about now, but you're gonna have so much more space to really maneuver down that field.
And as you said, you have that speed as well. So then you can write that speed is already, you have that advantage on the outdoor. So having that agility from the indoor, I can absolutely see that's really helpful to actually transfer over. So I want to delve into a segment where we ask our fans to ask some questions that we can then pass on to the athletes. So it's a segment called Pro Advice, where I'm going to read you a question from one of our listeners and one of our followers that has submitted and ask you, I'm trying to increase my speed. And obviously, as a fast person, this is like perfect question. What kind of training do you suggest for improving my speed and the 40-yard dash?
Oh, that's perfect. That's a good one. I would say first you gotta start in the gym. You gotta make sure you're hitting your leg workouts. You gotta get your legs strong. Second, make sure you're doing your cardio for your legs, stretching. Try to stretch because I get away from that sometimes, and it's not something you need to do. You don't want to pull nothing, so make sure you're stretching, and you definitely want to get down there, like, and actually practice the 40. Don't just run it. Actually, figure out how to line up for it. Put your hands down, and then when you run it, go slow. Go slow the first time. You don't have to go fast. Just go through the motions.
Mm.
Take it really easy as you do it.
Okay, I can see that, and that's, I mean, I understand, right, that you got to get the strength. What you just said here, you got to strengthen your legs, stretch most of the time, particularly when we're young, we forget that. Do the cardio, as in having that, but then what you just mentioned, as in go through the motion and really set yourself up and do it slow and deliberate. That's something I think is really a really big important takeaway that we get from there, and that's really for our listeners. It's something to keep in mind, as in going through that actual process. Now, given at the actual testing, we have massive increased pressure, right?
Oh yeah, you're nervous.
Do you sometimes put like some sort of external pressure on yourselves, that like, if I don't make this, I'm not going to have ice cream, or I'm not going to have X, Y, and Z? Are there some ways to increase that pressure, or are you using some of your friends to increase that pressure, or how do you go about that?
Um, I'm my biggest critic. So, my head's in 1,000 different places if something's going on like this. But I don't really like punish myself if I mess up or something. I just know I have more time. It's a learning experience every time. I've ran bad for it. So that was a learning experience. It got me better for the next one. So you're gonna mess up. You gotta know you're gonna mess up. It's not gonna be perfect. It's gonna make you sad when you mess up, but it'll be all right.
So you're saying you've run bad 40s? What?
Bad 40s to me.
Okay. Well, but this is also a good reminder for everyone who's going through the combine and going through all of those tests right now, as in that 140 mark that you run when it counts that isn't probably not your best 40-yard ever, right? So that's something that is also maybe a good reminder as well.
They test you for it, but I don't feel like that dictates your true speed, because it's rare times that you're just gonna have like that straight 40 yards all the time and just go straight full speed like that. You always got to worry about somebody getting in front of you, so you got to calculate your cuts and so on. So the shuttle drill, that's pretty good for that a little bit.
So you would actually, that's a really interesting transition. Now, what we have a segment what we call break the rules. And in break the rules, we ask you to make a change to the game of football or to any of the combines. Now, what would you change for some of the combines, some of the trials there, to test for real ability rather than, hey, 40 yards straight, here you go?
I would say put some actual throw some tackling in it, put some padded, put the equipment on and see what happens.
Okay.
I'd like to see that. I think that'd be pretty cool. That would really be able to test you in a game situation more.
I thought some little poles but you're going all.
I want to go all in.
All right. Yeah. No. Put some real tackling in. I would like to see that. Not gonna lie. If I was trialing, probably wouldn't want that, but I would like to see that as a fan.
Of course you don't want to get hurt, but at least do the drills with equipment on and not with the equipment off, because that's what you're going to be playing in. So at least put a helmet and some pads on and run like that.
That's a really good point as well. It's actually something I never thought about. It makes total sense that just because you run fast without the helmet, without the pads, doesn't mean you run fast with it.
Yeah, because it's heavier and it's weighing you down a little bit more. So,
is that something that you train in as well sometimes? As in, obviously, when you're on the field, makes sense. But do you sometimes just train some of your, whether it's speed or some of the running skills, in full-on equipment?
I did during the season. Not during the season. I haven't been. I just been doing it more, just freely, kind of like the combines would do.
Okay, that's interesting. It makes total sense to me, but it's something I just never thought about. Now, when we think about playing the game, when we think about all of the things we're talking about right now, as in where do you get inspiration? You talked about YouTube, you talked about Google. Who are some of your role models? As in, who are some of the people that you're like, hey, this is a great idea, or this is awesome. I'm looking up to that. I'm always going to follow how this one person is playing, how they're going about things. Who are some of those people, and what are some takeaways from those?
As far as athletes or just anybody that's a celebrity, I had Kobe. I love Kobe.
Okay.
Because Kobe, I just loved his mentality. He worked so hard. He just had so much passion for the game, even though it's two different sports. He had so much passion for the game, and ever since I saw him, I was like, I want to be like this guy growing up.
Mamba mentality.
As far as my inspiration of people, my sister, she's probably the hardest worker I've ever known, in my life. She's constantly on the go working, and I really look up to my parents, my mom and my dad. And, throughout football, I want to be able to give back to them because I mean, a lot of people believe in me through the process, and they've always been by my side, especially my sister. She's been my number one.
Older or younger sister?
Older.
She's looking after you there.
Oh, yeah, she's like another mom right there.
And that's awesome, though, that the family is that it's such a tight-knit family, and that she's supporting. That's really nice to hear as well. And having a sister as a role model, honestly, this is the first. We've not had someone mentioning their sister, so this is a special. What's her name?
Candace.
All right, that's a special shout out to her for actually looking after you. No, that's really interesting. Particularly when we think about role models, we're always thinking, oh, these big stars or these like someone
There's
who
so many
is.
other people out there too.
What do you mean? Beyond the stars?
Yeah, beyond stars. You know, there's other people to look up to.
Absolutely, and it's oftentimes those who are so close to us that make an impact on our lives. So it's really nice to hear.
Because you really get to see those people day in and day out, not just from, you know, people on the TV, just see parts of their lives. You really get to see somebody work, person.
And we oftentimes, when we see people on TV, people the superstars, right? We get call it a fake version of themselves.
Yeah,
Or
right.
a version of themselves that they want us to see. So I can see that as in having people around you, you get the authentic version of them, and them actually being, and well, as you just said, she's the hardest working person you know. That says a lot because obviously you know her quite well. So I think that's really interesting. Now, for you on the field, let's say 2022 just started. We're coming out of COVID, fingers crossed. Those lockdowns have hit the industry pretty hard. Hopefully we're coming out of this. What are some goals for 2022 for you?
Mainly I want to make sure I'm happy.
Okay. That's a good
Happiness
goal.
is key. And I just want to have fun with what I'm doing. And progress during it.
What are the things that you need to be happy? What makes you happy?
Makes me happy. Playing football is my passion. That makes me happiest. And seeing my family happy, that makes me happy. I'm pretty simple. I don't need a lot. I don't need a lot of things. And I love traveling too, so pretty much all of that, all in all, that's what makes me really happy.
So playing football is one of those aspects, making the family happy, being happy yourself. Now, what are some football goals? As in, are you going to some trials right now? It's like, let's assume I'm a team somewhere in the United States and I'm looking for a really good running back. How do I make sure that, you know what, Cam Carter, that's the first person in my mind right now. Like, are you going through some recruiting? How do you promote yourself right now?
How do I promote myself? I have some highlights that I put up. And I reach out. I saw myself too. You know, it's not super hard to contact teams. You know, sometimes they don't always reply. Sometimes they might reply like a month later. But you gotta reach out to them and, you know, tell them why they should have you. And I'll tell them I'm one of the hardest workers you'll find.
And that combined with speed goes a long way. So now, one of those aspects that have you gone through the full on college time in terms of playing?
I went straight to pro.
You went straight pro. Okay. So that could potentially also be an option, but to really put yourself in the spotlight. But let's be honest, you probably want to be pro. So you were pro, you want to be pro again, and you probably have the speed and the ability to do so. So it's about getting you in front of those eyeballs. Now, do you work with an agent at the moment?
No.
You don't work with an agent, and so you're doing things on your own right now.
And so a lot of the time, especially with indoor, you really don't so much need an agent. They're gonna put you in your team. If you're doing what you're supposed to with your team, they're gonna put you in that spotlight you want to be in to get more out of
Okay.
what you're going for. Honestly, if you get an agent right now, it's more throwing money away when, if you're just working hard with your team, you'll be able to get to the other parts.
Okay,
That's
that
not
makes a
something
lot
I
of
would
sense.
suggest so much for people because I see it a lot.
That they are going after agents and they're working with agents and they're quote unquote throwing money away, so to speak.
It in a way, it's throwing it away because you're getting the opportunity you need right here. I wouldn't say, at all. I mean, afterwards, if you're just done with indoor and you want to keep going, yes, get an agent. If you feel like you have enough film, you feel like you're ready to make that leap, yeah, get an agent for sure. But if you're just say you're doing indoor for like 2 or 3 years before you're ready for that leap, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say get one right away
Okay.
because you can sign yourself, and then you're gonna have to pay an agent too after you get yourself signed.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Now, when's the next indoor season coming up, and how do you talked about stretching early on, staying healthy, staying happy. When's the indoor season coming up, and when do you plan on being in your, call it, peak shape for that preseason running?
I feel good now. I feel like
Okay.
I could play right now, but it's starting. Some starting now, some are starting next month. But I just stay training right now, get myself ready. I feel good though.
All right. I hope we'll hear a lot more in 2022 and seeing where things are going. Now, I don't want to take up all of your time. Well, I've already taken, so I want to be cognizant of your time. I really enjoyed chatting with you about, where your career is, your background, all of those aspects. I want to make sure that people have a quick reminder of your profile on the SPRTER app. Anyone who wants to interact more, head over there to Cam's Experience store and check out all of the awesome experiences he's got set up, as well as a few really cool signed pictures. So those gloves look pretty slick. And got to make sure we have those and check it out there as well. But is there anything that I've missed asking, anything you want to get across to our supporters and followers?
Make sure you take care of your mental health. Talk to somebody if you need to ever. And yeah, really, I really want to say that. That's your number one priority you think about is protecting your mental.
I appreciate that. As in, I think mental health is it's just it's just getting into the news in sports. It's just starting to be taken serious, and a lot of athletes have been struggling with it, and really taking care of that is super important. Now, do you have one tip for anyone who's struggling with that? Besides outside help, do you do anything? Do you do any meditation, any self-talk, or anything that helps you?
For me, I like going to the gym because it's like a place I can get away and feel like a little freeing, and really talking to somebody you trust close to you.
Mm.
Somebody you really trust because they'll give you the best advice and they'll set you straight.
So probably not what we want to hear, but what we need to hear
Yes,
sometimes.
that tough talk that you don't want to when you don't want to be realistic with yourself. They'll give you that talk you need.
I have that I have those in the family as well. So that is very helpful. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you for joining us on the SPRTER podcast. Really appreciate your insights, and we'll have you up on YouTube, the full show. And everyone, make sure to follow Cam on all of the socials. We'll tag you in here, and follow along on his journey. Follow him on Insta, TikTok, as well as the SPRTER app. And check out his experience store, and have an awesome day. Thank you so much for joining the SPRTER Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
You too.